Good morning, Senior Pride here. I guess it's sort of a good morning. It's nice weather here in Edmonton, so that is what it is. Unfortunately, there is no way to ignore what has happened in the United States. And yes, I know I'm going to get a lot of comments from very angry people, particularly men, when I do what I do. It took me a lot of mental effort just to get to the point that I could write this, because my heart is breaking for the woman in the United States, and for a woman who may have inexplicably voted for sexual deviant. But hey, it is what it is. Unfortunately, the US election is also a sign of where the world itself is heading. Many countries are moving backwards in terms of human rights, in terms of women's rights specifically, in terms of gay rights. They're just shifting backward. The fact is, it shows that Western countries are not immune to this kind of backward thinking about women's rights, gay rights, human rights, the racism that pervades the United States right wing. And it's interesting to me that young men in the United States voted for Trump in just inexplicable numbers. It speaks to their fears that women are smarter than them, better than them in every way, but they don't know what they've asked for. We women, we know this. We've experienced it. And for some of us older women who grew up at a time when this was, when sexism was so much further than it is today, we fear for the women who are going to be affected by changes that have taken a long time to bring about, by the removal of those changes, by the drawing back. But the fact is, it's simple. These men are scared of women. They're scared that we are becoming their equals in the legal sense, and they don't realize what they're about to lose themselves. I do believe that with Trump in power, it will truly become a free-for-all against women. The Handmaid's Tale, here we come. How a country could overwhelmingly support a demented rapist, a convicted felon. I'd like to say it's beyond me, but the fact is, we've seen it coming. Sexual predators and wannabe sexual predators believe that men like Trump should be in power because they believe it gives them more power. Little do they know. In Canada, we're observing a similar kind of backward thinking. We see it in Pierre Poilievre. He basically wants a woman barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. Here in Alberta, which some of the less capable people call the 51st state, we saw an over 90% support rate from the extreme right wing for Danielle Smith, who's so focused on power that her willingness to throw anybody and everybody to the wolves is legendary. She is right now focused on trans youth, but if you think you're safe, you're not. She's coming for everybody. Everybody who isn't rich, white, male, or in her case, God knows, and I didn't say that. And she's going to target, for example, single parents, the majority of whom are female. Populism continues. It's gaining strength, and the hard-won human rights that we have fought for decades are being eradicated. So in the United States, I mean, first of all, worldwide, women have been fighting for their freedoms for centuries. But over the last 65 or so years, give or take, I mean, your grandmas, they are the reason that you have birth control, that you had, I guess in the United States, that's kind of questionable, had access to abortion, and in Canada, Pierre Poilievre wants to remove that. And you may think that that's baby killing, but it's not. It's woman saving. Some pregnancies are not viable. Some women simply cannot afford to raise a child, or they are in too dangerous a situation because of the male involved to be safe for a child. The fact is, abortion saves lives. It doesn't end lives, it saves lives. If you actually did your research, you'd realize that. Birth control. You men think it's going to be a free-for-all? No, it's not. You know all that sex you're getting? Women won't feel safe giving themselves to you. They won't touch you till they're married to you, and by the time they're 35 and they realize that things are getting a little more dangerous for them pregnancy-wise, it's over, boys. And you may think that because you've been elected by a rapist, that you're safe in that way. Maybe you are, but you're going to notice the ladies are going to get pretty angry, and they are going to pull back in ways you can't imagine. And ladies, if you voted for him, I don't know what to say. You will find out the truth. You will find out what it's like to live in the era that your grandmothers lived in. My mother was of that generation, and she was scared. My father was a monster, and she was terrified. She didn't know what to do. I was so proud of her when she got a divorce, when she filed for divorce. She found herself staring at a bottle of pills, and it was the pills or divorce. She left. She took us with her, and he tried to get us back, not because he wanted children, but because he wanted power over her. That's what men do. You will find that it is much easier when there isn't a no-fault divorce available. You will find that you are no longer the risk factor, as bad as it is now, it will increase horribly. In the U.S., and I know you've long been victims of right-wing rhetoric and legislation designed to maintain control for an openly bigoted sexual predator to be elected over a brilliant, educated, aware woman who is Black suggests things that it's offensive, it's disgusting. But apparently the male populace is so fearful of losing their control that they chose a demented old felon over a brilliant Black woman. Okay, good for you. And to women everywhere, not just the United States, I say, if you vote for these mongrels, the results will be the destruction of your very existence. You will no longer experience the safety you thought was inherent in society. It wasn't. We fought for that. Our generations fought for that. Men, your wives, your daughters, your sisters, your mothers, look what you have set forth when you see them being violated horrendously. Maybe you will understand the evil that you sought. And yes, that is as nice as I can be about this situation. I'm sorry, there's nothing nice to say. I do ask my fellow Canadians to think before you vote for a man who simply wants us as nothing more than baby-bearing machines, who's willing to put your older relatives out on the street because, well, housing is just too complicated. And oh wait, his idea of housing is a free-for-all for rich companies, rich corporations. Think about it. Think about what you're doing. I have a really good leader in Jagmeet Singh. He would be a fantastic leader. He actually cares about things like women's rights, gay rights, racism. He cares about the things that matter to a society that cares about each other. But hey, that's just me. And by the way, if you enjoyed this video, and I'm thinking I'm getting a lot of backlash, but if you did enjoy this video, please hit subscribe and explore. And remember, to be senior is to be proud. And to be a senior woman is to be proud of being a woman. Hugs.